student panel. It's kind of unique because it's made up entirely of BYU-HAWAII students. We got the idea when we had the undergraduate research conference here a couple months ago, and we picked out these students based on topic and quality of research to present for you here. So thank you for staying. We don't have much time, so each of them will just have 5 minutes, and we will have no Q&A, but you may have noticed they have boards downstairs set up with much of their research on it, so when you have questions, they'll be down there and you can go ask them. For now, I'll just quickly introduce each person. Here we have Riji Levaci, a proud Fijian native and a student here. He's pursuing a major in social work and a minors in education, linguistics, and psychology. He has a passion for serving others and promoting dignity, and that's evident in his involvement in the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative. Riji leads the Fiji Club as its president on campus, which unites Fijian students and highlights his homeland's rich heritage through cultural events and outreach. With his multifaceted studies and leadership roles, Riji Levaci exemplifies the values of service, cultural celebration, and academic excellence. Next to Riji, we have Nameha Raiwalui, and she is in the first generation of her family to pursue higher education. She's a double major in political science and Pacific Island Studies. Nameha is the vice president for the Maka'ala Human Rights Organization on campus that orchestrates initiatives that create awareness on social issues and injustice and inspire actionable solutions for the student population. During her academic journey, she interned with the Cook Island government under the Ministry of Justice and also a field study for the Pacific missions at the United Nations in New York City, where she presented her research on the Great Council of Chiefs. She's also the founder of Coral Coast Queens, a project that is dedicated to fostering sustainable livelihoods for women in her hometown of Singatoka in Fiji. She now aspires to become a human rights activist and advocate for her people at a grassroots level. Next to her is Lindokuhle Mbuli. He's half South African, half Swazi, but he likes to say that he is 100% Southern African with no sugar added. He's part of the Bantu-speaking people and part of the Nguni tribe. Lindokuhle is a double major in biochemistry and biology. He currently works as assistant lead student fellow for the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative. Lindo served as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in England Manchester Mission, and upon his return home, he serves as a stake high counselor and a member of his bishopric in the local congregation. He's also happily married to Nivan Marcella Tokololo, and they were married here in the Lāʻie temple. Next we have Vilai Ilolahia, who typically goes by Junior, and he's from Tonga. In his third year majoring in political science at BYU-HAWAII. In his pre-college years, Vilai was a young advocate for women's and children's rights and advocated against domestic violence in the Ma'afafine Mo e Famili, a nonprofit in Tonga under the leadership of Betty Blake. Today, he's also a fellow at the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative. Next, we have Hannah Harding, and she's a sophomore studying intercultural peace building and political science. She's from Provo, Utah, and lived in Berlin, Germany, while serving there as a missionary for the Church of Jesus Christ. She has worked with the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative for a little over a year, and under various projects, including the READY Index with the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation. And last but not least, we have Johann Faana-Kong, and he's a senior majoring in political science, born and raised in Tahiti, French Polynesia. He brings with him a unique perspective shaped by his cultural roots and diverse experience. He is a convert to the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints and served a full-time mission in his beloved homeland of Tahiti. Beyond his academic pursuits, he finds joy and support in his role as a husband, with his wife also pursuing her studies in biology at BYU-HAWAII. We'll start with Riji and Nameha.
Aloha! A big bulavinaka. Our presentation today, or our research, it was based on navigating faith the social acceptance of a new Christian denomination in Fijian communities. As mentioned by our Fijian delegates yesterday, Fiji is a multicultural country with different faiths, different beliefs, and different religions. For example, Christianity, Hinduism, Islam, and even the Itoke people have different beliefs of their own. Despite Fiji having a very diverse cultural background, there are still a lot of tensions and disagreements when it comes to leading our people. This research focuses on finding ways in where factors that are influencing these different denominations can bring about ways where we can communicate and be better leaders in our communities. The main objective of our research was to explore the underlying dynamics that influence individuals' perceptions and attitudes towards integrating a new religious entity within the Fijian communities.
It was interesting that the results that we found was expected. Participants expressed a positive attitude towards integrating a new religion, Christian sector into their community. It was also interesting to find that 75% of those that we talked with highlighted the importance of the new Christian sector representing local, respecting local cultures and traditions and custom when integrating the new Christian denomination into the community. And 80% also mentioned the role of community leaders in promoting acceptance, incorporation in new Christian sector. And this is quite evident as well, especially in Fiji, how leaders have influence in how community members act towards having Christian denomination being established into the community, and also positive attitude towards integrating a new Christian sector highlight the importance of interfaith dialogues, which is now happening in Fiji, and the cultural sensitivity. With the analysis as well that we found indigenous Fijians beliefs were intertwined with cultural tradition, emphasizing unity, respect for ancestral customs, and positive experience with interfaith dialogue initiative led by religious leaders and community organizations were also reported. And I believe this is where Reverend James Bhagwan is also part of that community. And the role of government policies in promoting multiculturalism, religious acceptance was also acknowledged by the community members. And this is our call to action when we found during our research is the engagement of stakeholders, encouraging stakeholders, including policymakers, community leaders, religious organizations, and youth groups to actively participate in promoting religious acceptance and interfaith harmony. And secondly, the commitment to unity, shared responsibility for all Fijians, fostering a culture of unity, respect, and mutual understanding across religious lines.
Cultural heritage and identity significantly influences individuals' attitude towards religious acceptance and interfaith relations in Fiji, highlighting the importance of honoring diverse traditions, strengthen interfaith dialogue initiatives led by community leaders and religious organizations. Therefore, it is really important that we found in this research that as the community or as leaders, we need to understand the foundation of different religious avenues and understand that we can work together as a community to bedify and strengthen our communities.
Just lastly, just the policy and development, implement policies that protect religious freedom, combat discrimination, and promote multiculturalism in Fiji. So that was our research for Nameha and I. We initially wanted to see how Fijian communities would accept a different faith to be established into their community, but we thought that focusing on Christianity denomination being established was a easier approach for us to discuss, and that's another research that we will be looking into the future, including Hinduism and also Muslim, as this is part of our culture in Fiji. Vinaka.
Leaders, aloha. I think you might be wondering, why is a South African doing up here presenting in a conference about Oceania's perspective on human dignity? Well, I married a Nivan. I think that says a lot about my love of the Pacific and the people in Oceania. So, just to get on with it, in 1 or 3 words, what is human dignity to you? And then we'll just continue. So, the original meaning of the word dignity established that someone deserves respect because of their status. But then in the 1948 Universal Declaration of Human Rights, the concept was turned on its head. Article 1 states all human beings are born free and equal in dignity and right. Now, this changed a lot of things. People were not respected because of their class, race, gender, religion, abilities, or any other factors other than the fact that they were human beings. Now, why is this important? Why is human dignity important? Human dignity is important in a lot of ways. Human dignity is crucial for development in any other country, and this research we're focusing on Oceania. It is crucial and important for everything else. I won't touch on all the importance of human dignity. I think you'll be able to talk to me by my post, and we'll discuss a little bit more about that. But then what I want to go to is when the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights stands as a cornerstone in a global promotion and protection of human rights. Most countries with the Universal Declaration of Human Rights, they've implemented it in their country's constitution, and they're actually using it. But we still see some significant difference when it comes to understanding human dignity into the different cultures, because I believe different cultures and different parts of the world define and understand human dignity differently. So we went forth and asked different students here on campus with what President Gawe shared with us in 2020 when he shared diversity and unity work together here at BYU-HAWAII in remarkable ways. This university will continue to be a place where people from across the world gather to be one in Christ and educate and uplift each other. So when students were asked the question, how do you personally define and understand the concept of human dignity? We had a student from Fiji who said, basic human rights and respect. A student from French Polynesia who said, human dignity is the value of people, but nothing to do with their race. A student from the Cook Islands stated, human dignity is respect for each other. We pay respect to others as we wish to be respected. A student from Papua New Guinea stated, being respectful towards other humans. And a student from Australia stated, people are equal but holding different responsibilities. And a student from Vanuatu stated, I think dignity is all about respecting each other and also ourselves. And a student from Tonga says, value of a human soul with needs and emotions. We asked students some other questions, but I just want to rush in this part, which what is the role of different government organizations and institutions? We have students who say government and institutions. I'll just go to this one. I am not sure how they did it, but this is a student from Taiwan who stated that in Taiwan society, it really opens the opportunity for the president to speak to the younger generation. And as for us as leaders, or as you as leaders today, it is a great opportunity to go home and educate the younger generation about human dignity, about what human dignity really means to your people, to the people where you come from, and to your community, and to your part of the world. And in that, I believe that the government and institutions like BrighamYoungUniversity Hawaii still have a greater role to play in educating their students about human dignity and help them understand human dignity in respect to their country and in respect to their society. Mahalo.
Tes. Malolei. Growing up in Tonga, my mother always wanted me to be a pilot. So, high school, there's an entrance exam before you can go into high school in Tonga. I took that entrance exam, and my mom was betting on my maths to be like, oh, you got it. Maths came out 20 out of 100. Oh, Junior, you're not gonna be a pilot. Dang it. So, she dragged me around with her as we attended many of transformational leadership workshops, domestic violence against women workshops, and studies on gender equality in the nonprofit that John had mentioned earlier that I was a part of for a long time since I failed maths. And I share this with you all today because my study is on religious freedom and gender equality. And having a background in gender equality, I had a conversation with my mentor about this project, and he said, what is gender equality to you? And I said, oh, it's a basic human right. And he said to me, that is a normative answer, so you need to do more research on what it actually means and how you measure human rights. For this research project, I used the United Nations Development Program statistics to measure human rights in three countries in the Pacific: Tonga, Fiji, and Papua New Guinea. But because of time, and we're all hungry around this time, I will just have to have you by my poster board where we can talk more statistics. Moreover, my project was built on the literature review that has been done and upon scholarly articles that has been focused on religious freedom in the Pacific and concepts such as gender equality. It has been mentioned here in this conference over and over again that the most important concept that everyone in the Pacific shares is community. And through the literature review that I have uncovered, although there are legislations, although there are laws that support religious freedom, there are clauses in the constitutions of these countries. There is always a gray area where communal and community have a more prominent presence in the world of society and social concepts such as gender equality and religion itself. And I just wanted to appreciate and acknowledge everyone who has given their remarks, for it definitely helped my research on this. And having said that, I am deciding to continue further research on this, and we'll see you guys down with my poster boards. But to conclude my study of religious freedom and gender equality, research shows that legislation in the Pacific supports religious freedom. In relation to gender equality, customs and traditions have a more prominent role that dictates the communal role of men and women. I'm grateful for the presenters of Pacifica who have all touched on human dignity in various perspectives through culture, language, community, land, and religion. In reference to the focus of the conference on human dignity, gender equality is a part of human interaction and dignity, and is indeed in development in the Pacific. For more studies like this, we just need the students to come back home and stay home rather than overstay. But that is all from me. We'll see you downstairs. Mahalo.
Aloha. Wow, what an honor that it is to speak here today, and honestly just to be in this beautiful place. I'm originally from the US mainland, and so I recognize that at this conference I'm definitely sharing an outside perspective, but I wanted to share some thoughts through the lens of the studies that I'm doing while I'm here, majoring in intercultural peace building and political science. And I am also working for the Religious Freedom and Human Dignity Initiative, which we've heard about plenty. And when I first started working there, I knew that human dignity was something important, right? I believe that human rights are essential, but I didn't really understand why religious freedom was so important. And I see now that that came from a place of privilege, that I didn't know what it was like to be without religious freedom. And since studying, I've come to realize how much this innate desire to seek truth is something that our human dignity requires, that it be respected for everyone. And I've also learned that religious freedom is like a warning sign. When religious freedom is not being respected, you know that other important human rights are following. The question is, how does religious freedom affect human dignity? And this is where the political scientist, the young political scientist in me came out, and how can we convince people that religious freedom is important? And is this something that we can measure? So this semester I worked on a research project looking at how religious freedom affects conflict, specifically intrastate conflict. Because if it's something that we can make a little bit more tangible, it's something we can talk about in a more tangible way, why religious freedom is so important. And the theory behind this research I did mostly rests on this really interesting psychosociological theory by Vivek Volkan called group regression. And it says that when a group of people that associate with one another through an identity, when they feel under threat, then they gather together, right? And they start to behave in ways that they wouldn't otherwise. They start to draw deep lines of division between them and other groups outside, and this leads to conflict. And so in my research, the idea was that governmental restrictions on religious freedom act as a catalyst for this group regression process. And when the government restricts something for a religious minority and they feel under threat, then it starts this conflict cycle. And so to start this research, I wanted to do a case study. And I chose Oceania because of this conference, as well as the unique relationship between religion and government in Oceania. And I chose Fiji in the years of 2008 to 2010 because there was a large increase during those years on governmental restrictions on religious freedom. So I wanted to start counting instances of conflict and measuring what the difference was as that those governmental restrictions changed. Came across some issues in gathering information, and ironically, some of the people who could give me the best information are now here today. But from the limited information that I did find, there was a correlation. As governmental restrictions on religion increased, so did conflict. And so even though this is research that I will definitely be continuing in the future with hopefully a large quantitative study, it does suggest that there is a tangible link between religious freedom and between conflict, and shows in yet another way that religious freedom is absolutely essential to our human dignity. Thank you.
All right. Aloha and yaorana. So my study is a quantitative political research assessing the impact of religious diversity on political stability globally. My research draws inspiration from the stable democratic regime of the United States, where freedom of religion is protected under the First Amendment. This right to freedom of religion has provided a framework for diversity of belief to thrive, potentially influencing the stability of the political landscape in the US. My research seeks to explore whether religious diversity indeed influences political stability on a global scale. My hypothesis posits that countries with greater religious diversity tend to exhibit more stable political regimes. To investigate this, I conducted a quantitative analysis gathering data from the World Bank database and from Dr. Brian Grimm, president of the Religious Freedom and Business Foundation organization. I have run an ordinarily squares regression with my dependent, independent, and other control variables. The results were statistically significant, holding every other variable constant, and demonstrated that there is a positive relationship between religious diversity and political stability. This means that as countries become more religiously diverse, they foster an environment that leads to a more stable political regime. The idea is that inclusivity towards religions is very important because I believe that religious leaders are there to promote peace, unity, and like what Elder Wakolo said yesterday, the spelling of human dignity, love. I really like what has been shared yesterday and today by our religious leaders from Fiji, Guam, and New Zealand, and all their perspectives and initiatives to promote human dignity. It truly shows that through our differences we can work together towards the same goal. This demonstrates that religious diversity truly fosters principles of trust, tolerance, openness. When religious leaders promote the same message, it builds and strengthens social cohesion in our societies. This social cohesion is necessary for a better and stable political system. I hope that my research benefits policymakers, religious leaders seeking to promote social cohesion, inclusivity, and adaptability to religious minorities in the world. Thank you for your attention, and I look forward to discussing my findings further during lunch.